What's up? What's up, everyone? Welcome into the channel. Hope everyone is doing well. Going to do a different kind of live stream today. We're going to go over some basic crypto one-on-one, talks about some subjects that people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis kind of do not have a full understanding of. And for some newbie crypto traders out there may be as some use. Okay, so we're going to talk crypto exchanges, kind of what you can do with your crypto, as well as kind of get into the world of DeFi a little bit and explain to some people out there that may not have a full grasp of what things actually contain when we talk DeFi. So we'll talk about that. We'll get down into a couple different things within this presentation. It's going to be just a kind of chill conversation. So hopefully you guys all stick around for a couple minutes. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe down below. Also, please be sure to leave your comments. As we do get those in right now, I will be responding to you guys in real time. All right, so let's get it. Let's get into this. Wait for a couple minutes, a couple seconds, even moments for people to kind of trickle into this chat. All right, and we do have Sky Graphics in the room. What's going on? And let's get going. We're going to talk a little bit more so once we get some more eyeballs. 7 people in the room. If you guys can all hit that like button, we'll get this one going. All right, so. First and foremost, welcome. Hope everyone's doing well as we close out the weekend. As we look into the market, I know you guys might be not watching this in real time, but we're kind of segueing into 2025, where all bets are off once we get the Trump inauguration and some catalysts downstream that I'm looking forward to, and I'm sure you guys are as well. All right, so let's get into the conversation. All right, so the biggest reason why I wanted to make this video is because there are a lot of friends I have, new people into crypto that quite frankly, have not been around. So this is their first full cycle, if you will. And now they get to experience kind of at first glance, Bitcoin over 100,000, some crazy milestones along the way, developments, regulations, stuff like that, that keeps continuing to evolve. And when I started trading crypto, we didn't have any of this stuff. Okay. And now there's a lot of resources, a lot of access that we do have to different things within crypto. For example, a lot of you guys watching probably have a MetaMask. That was just getting going when I was starting to get into crypto. Okay, so just put that in perspective. Now we have Solana, Phantom wallets, stuff like that. Even every respective blockchain, for the most part, kind of has their own way of doing things as well. But I want to get into kind of what the whole deal is and why we care and what matters to you as a crypto trader. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to talk DeFi versus CeFi, centralized finance, kind of why you want to do one or the other, or in most cases, you should be doing both. Okay, but what we have to talk about kind of right now is what is DeFi. Okay, so what is DeFi? That is basically having financial services on public blockchains within peer-to-peer transactions without any intermediary steps along the way, okay? That's kind of where it allows the smart contracts to process. So when you do swap, you go through that whole song and dance, and you're wondering why you're paying gas fees. Well, that's basically what it all comes down to, right? You're paying fees without kind of having to worry about things going wrong. It's a way to kind of get outside the box of relying on centralized finance or some higher ups or whoever's going to be those intermediaries that kind of get in the way of things happening. Okay, so kind of the whole purpose of crypto and why it got going in the first place was central banks, financial institutions were kind of looking to circumvent all of that in an effort to make financial processes as well as blockchain and just all that computing more seamless and efficient. Okay, so that's kind of what the big step is: reducing intermediaries and reducing essentially human error and all the delays that come about within normal kind of contracts. Okay, but smart contracts also open up the door for a lot of transparency. Okay, that's a great thing about DeFi as well, because everything is on the blockchain. It's stored right there in those codes and numerals and integers that you kind of wonder, okay, why do I care about all these crazy long phrases? Well, because it does matter. That's kind of the record, right? It's the log, if you will. All right. Now also DeFi, as long as you have an internet connection, you're good to go. And it's something where in different parts of the world, that's kind of the beauty of crypto as well. Third world countries, people across the globe that maybe don't have access to a Wells Fargo, a Chase Bank. Crypto provides that route and opportunity. Okay. Now, centralized finance that we kind of touched upon, the big difference with them is, and when we apply it to crypto, we're talking about the big boys, right? We're talking about Coinbase. We're talking about, Kraken, a lot of things that essentially are regulated. There's KYC, a lot of things along the way that do kind of act as intermediaries that kind of destroy the whole nature of what crypto is sent out to be. Okay. Not saying that you guys are into any crazy things, such as like money laundering and all that good stuff that people do take advantage of, kind of the evil side of crypto and fraud. But there are a lot of bad actors out there that do look for the DeFi side of things to kind of skate around some of the regulations and rules. And that's been kind of the big topic moving forward, is when Donald Trump does take office. How is that going to change within blockchain, and what were we going to have to deal with moving forward? Okay. We did get an announcement from the IRS and that there will be no changes. So on that end, in terms of taxation, no major changes apparently for now up to 2026. Everybody was kind of expecting a curveball to come across, whether it be from whatever regulating agency that does kind of have a say in that whole ordeal, where, technically we would be kind of possibly faced with some challenges. Okay. So seemingly we're all good to go. Within that, I want to kind of segue into the next conversation, the benefits of using DeFi over centralized exchanges. Okay. And the reason why this whole live stream is basically getting into the discussion is because a lot of people out there use DeFi without even knowing they're using it, or they should be using it. Okay. I have a lot of friends out there that just use Coinbase. They just use some kind of centralized exchange that they see a commercial on TV. And they start trading, they start paying higher fees, and they don't own their crypto. Okay. I always tell people, and it's not financial advice, and, friends, family, whatever, if you're just getting started in crypto, probably the best exchange that you can get going with is, in my opinion, Robinhood. A lot of people don't feel that way. I do feel that way because there's no fees. There's no crazy worries about kind of what you're getting into. And, FDIC backed, it's a good avenue for kind of getting your feet wet, getting into the door. Okay. So why you would want to use DeFi, like I talked about some of them earlier on, ownership, you own your crypto. That's first and foremost. We're going to talk a little bit about cold storage wallets down the road as well. I think that's a very integral part of people's crypto journeys that, quite frankly, goes a little bit underappreciated, in my personal opinion. And for instance, okay, when we talk about this, DeFi, having the whole kind of control of your assets. Okay. So when everybody hears about, the exchange got hacked, all my stuff just got removed from an exchange, my balance is zero. Okay. In DeFi, that doesn't happen. You know why? Because you own your crypto. Okay. There's no FTX worries. There's no scandals. There's no way to get, essentially, for lack of a better word, screwed, because you actually own your crypto. And that's why it's ever so important to keep your seed phrases. When you do start some kind of whatever you want to control your crypto and your keys, keep those keys as close to you and guard them like it's like your life depends on it. Because without those, nobody can access your funds. Nobody can steal your crypto, essentially. And it's something where you don't want to digitalize that at all. Okay, so there's no screenshots, there's no photos. A lot of people do etch in stone, and then they take it to a safety deposit box even. There's plenty of ways to do it. You guys do whatever you feel is right, but for me, in my example, I have multiple actually, and no one will ever find it. If I die, probably won't ever be found either. Okay, and that's kind of what it comes down to. Okay, but I know that crypto is safe, so I handle a little bit different from my DeFi. I do have both. I do have CeFi, DeFi, and cold storage. Okay, but we're going to talk about a little bit more so down the road. Okay, another reason why you want a DeFi is transparency. Okay. Open source, smart contracts. It's something where you can see what's actually in front of you. There's no hidden fees. There's no fraud. There's no kind of behind the scenes operations going on as well. Okay. Global accessibility. We talked a little bit about KYC, anti-money laundering. Okay. Those barriers kind of are withdrawn with DeFi, as it makes it more of an opportunity for global transactions. Okay. So there's no real, caution tape when I'm trying to send money to somebody that maybe I would not be allowed to send money to normally. I don't know any better, but it's just something that won't fall on me because it's all unregulated essentially. Okay. Centralized exchanges. That's kind of where it's right there in front of us. there's a lot of country to country, state by state restrictions. There's a lot of compliance that goes into it as well. So that's something to keep in mind as we kind of navigate as well within decentralized and centralized exchanges. Okay. Also, DeFi has a lot lower costs. All right. Straight up, it's something that you'll see quite often. Coinbase, not to FUD Coinbase, but if you guys have ever transacted outside of Coinbase One or some kind of premium where you pay monthly, the fees are absolutely outrageous. Okay. So that's something that people do like to kind of trade with on the DeFi side is the fees. I use Exodus, for example. That's kind of my DeFi way of doing things in terms of having a mobile wallet. I have one of those, and it's basically free to transact within Exodus. Okay. Now, next, I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges. Okay. First and foremost, if you are a beginner into crypto, if you do trade on a centralized exchange, it's going to be more streamlined. It's going to be more self-explanatory. It's going to be more ease of access, kind of more of what you're used to, right? Kind of similar to what we're talking about within the ETF world. A lot of people buying into XRP, Bitcoin ETFs, they couldn't buy crypto if I paid them to, okay? Now they have an access point. They can get into the game, all right? And that's kind of what CeFi will allow people to do as well, okay? So that's kind of what we go into in terms of the pros versus cons. Some real world examples that we can talk about in terms of what actually happens. You can look at the volumes that are there, and that's what we're going to kind of segue into in terms of kind of what DeFi is made up of. You can see some of these liquidity pools. For example, that's where we look into Uniswap, probably being one of the largest. You can look in kind of their crypto, their native token as well. Top 30 crypto out there. And we talk about some of the things you can do on DeFi, such as loans, as well as earning interest on some of your holdings. So there are some things outside of just buying and selling crypto that DeFi does provide. Okay. Also, if we go on a centralized side of things, right, we can talk about the Mt. Gox hack as well as the FTX collapse. Those are things that are stains onto the centralized side of finance. All that stuff happens. And the first thing that everybody who trades crypto says, well, you should have held your keys. You should have held your crypto and not used an exchange. Okay. So those are some of the failures and pitfalls that you can run into within centralized exchanges. And now, mind you, a lot of funds are FDIC insured within some of the more well-known exchanges that are centralized. However, it is still a risk in terms of crypto versus non-crypto, right? If you're using centralized finance, technically it's not really crypto. Okay. So keep that in mind when you're doing your trading. Basically, if you're experienced, you know what you're doing. There really isn't a reason why you're not using DeFi versus centralized finance unless you're doing some form of onboarding in some form or fashion. And nowadays, you don't even need that to do so as well. Okay, so that's kind of what we have going on. I am going to get into some of the kind of exactos, if you will, some points, some actual points that we can kind of look into before we get into some of the questions. Okay. And that's kind of where I stand within the pros and cons. There are risks with all crypto trading, but this is where we're going to get into where we look into the top crypto exchanges. I want to share with you guys kind of what's going on in that whole arena. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys real quick, and then you guys can see what I'm looking into. Okay. So first and foremost, we are going to get into what we have going on with the top crypto exchanges before I bring up the floor and you guys can ask some questions. All right. But as we look at it, the big boy out there, Binance, even still without being allowed to be traded and transacted within the United States, Binance is still number one into 1,755 markets. Then we go into Bybit, which a lot of people do not know that they are number two. Coinbase, number three out there, probably the most well-known within the United States. And then rounding out the top 10, we'll go down the list: OKX, Upbit, BitGet, Kraken, KuCoin, HTX, and Mexi. Now, you have probably heard a lot of these exchanges in the news. A lot of times they are into some risky business. There's some things out there that do kind of get in the way of operations. And a lot of times what happened with the FTX scandal, people kind of mismanage funds and they over leverage and kind of tell their users that they have more crypto than they actually do because they're borrowing and trying to make money off of people's capital instead of holding it where it should be. And that happens with banks. It's the same thing. Banks become insolvent all the time. There's regulations put in place within the centralized finance world that does prevent that from happening. but it still does happen for a reason. And that's because institutions and people alike know that they can kind of have basically interest-free loans and get away with it if it works out. But in the case where a market can collapse, such as a volatile crypto market, that leads a lot of users and operators kind of struggling for answers. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at. We will talk more about that. But before I get into kind of your guys' questions, if you guys are looking for cold storage wallets, now I do recommend one. It's not financial advice, but for those of you that do not know or familiarize with it, essentially it's a USB flash drive in some form or fashion. So nowadays you can find one that looks like a cell phone. It's kind of cool because you can actually, people say it's crypto. It's not tangible. You can't touch it. Well, having a cold storage wallet and you can look at it and see your funds right there on the LED screen. It gives you a way to kind of connect with your crypto. So you actually feel like it has some value because you can hold it. All right. So that's kind of where we get into it. I personally think it's the safest way to do so. That's kind of common sense. Just to make sure that you do have your seed phrases kept secure to yourself. Do not share them with anybody that you cannot trust. And you really shouldn't share them with anybody, period. Okay. Rounding out the top two, obviously, I use a Ledger Nano X, safe, simple, and secure. Trezor is also another one. There are two. There's a multitude of cold storage wallets. The big thing I can tell you guys, and what you have to look into, is the EAL rating. So if they do have a rating of a 5 or above, that will be an independent score of being a high level. One thing I will tell you guys, though, within the world of cold storage wallets, make sure this is something that you'll never find out there, quite frankly, anywhere, but make sure that they are actually a brand new. Do not buy a used cold storage wallet. Do not buy a cold storage wallet that's open from the box. Do not buy it from a third-party site. Get it directly from the manufacturer. And that's the way that you can ensure that there's no funny business going on and your crypto remains safe. Okay. So I am going to open up the floor for some questions. First, if you are looking for an exchange and you are able to use it where you're located, check out CoinW. Okay. We did talk about the top exchanges out there right now, and you can go down the list and kind of find out CoinW 29th overall in the world in terms of spot exchanges. In the derivatives market, there is a different rating just because there are not a lot of exchanges that are allowed to offer it. So CoinW ranked 22nd in derivatives. One of the exchanges, a lot of partnerships and sponsors that they do have. A lot of people back CoinW. If you use my link down below in the description, you sign up with them. They are offering a free Pepe coin airdrop. Also, there is a private trading community that you can get involved with on Telegram. If you want to go into their professional traders, that is a free perk with signing up through my link. Just go through the 4-step verification process. Always, though, understand the KYC policy as well as the terms and conditions before trading with any exchange. And if it's right for you after running it through your due diligence, start trading today with CoinW. Okay. And that's kind of where I'm at. With that, I'm going to open up the floor. If you guys have anything that you want to talk about, any questions about the presentation, feel free to talk about it right down below, and I will kind of get into the comments. Okay. So just catching up on some of the comments. Gabor, welcome. Reliable DEX on SWI that supports perps. That's a real specific question. Yeah, there's quite a few out there. Really, truthfully, any of the ones kind of on the list that are in the top 25, I think you should feel some form of comfortability. I did talk about CoinW a little bit. You can check them out if you want. But make sure, like I said, guys, make sure it's right for you. Nick Weasel in the house. Sergio, or Sir, forgive me. Not sure how to pronounce that, but Ondo, 2 billion market cap, isn't listed on one of the biggest exchanges, but some random low caps are. Oh, that's a great point. Okay. So that comes down to liquidity and kind of the thought of some of the lower market caps, right? So, for example, meme coins, right? Big news of the recent months is Coinbase is listing a ton of meme coins. And people are wondering, well, why are lower market cap meme coins being listed before higher market caps and whatnot? Well, reason being, some different tiered exchanges, you have to pay to be listed. You have to have a certain amount of volume before they even look at you. That's another reason. And also some of them are sketchy. So they don't want to get into business with those cryptos. Okay. But in the form of your question, such as Ondo, that's kind of a good one. Quite frankly, I don't really know. because I think the answer to that question varies exchange to exchange more times than not. The big one also outside of Ondo is Caspa. I quite frankly don't know why Caspa isn't listed everywhere on all these centralized exchanges out there. But it has to do with size. It has to do with liquidity. It has to do with kind of the closed door conversations within the heads of those cryptos in some cases, and competition too. I think sometimes exchanges are involved with certain projects that may be counterintuitive to get competitors into it, and they don't want to become insolvent. So you don't want to list something and then something that can happen is exchange arbitrage, for example. So a lot of times you'll have cryptos that are listed for a different price point on different exchanges. Okay, I've known numerous examples where you could buy a meme coin, and then all of a sudden, oh, this meme coin just listed on X so and so exchange. You can go right over to that exchange, sell your crypto on that exchange, and then dump it at a higher price than it was at the original exchange that you bought it on. So that's what we call exchange arbitrage. It's kind of a loophole. It's kind of a thing that's been around for quite some time, and quite frankly, there's no way around it. It's just, without kind of having a universal set price, which can't happen, because even if you look at Bitcoin, the price of Bitcoin will vary within each trading pair with a different exchange. And depending on that liquidity, kind of where their money's at, it does vary, where you can have even something as high as a market cap as Bitcoin, you can have a difference in price by multiple cents, which is kind of crazy to think about within $1 trillion+ asset. Okay. Who else we got in there? ALCX, no real thoughts on that one. Yet another ham radio. Just learning to move from exchange to cold wallet. Don't understand why some transfer on a certain network and some seem to get converted to another token. Sent Chainlink on BNB, ended up with wrapped ETH. Which wallet are you using? First off, I'm kind of curious how that ended up as Ethereum. You have to make sure that, I know, for example, so if you do have a crypto that is, for example, on another blockchain, such as Tether, Ethereum, whatever, it could be something as simple as a stablecoin. They are listed for different blockchains, so make sure it's the right blockchain. Tangem, yeah. So that's a reputable wallet. I have no familiarity with Tangem. I've never used them. I just know that they're in the top 5. I think they're kind of third if you want to go into the rankings. Why would you end up with wrapped ETH from Chainlink to BNB? That's a very good question. So you sent it on BNB and ended up, well, first and foremost, I'm just happy that you ended up with, so you ended up with Chainlink on Ethereum or Chainlink, or did you just end up with straight wrapped ETH? Like it converted your Chainlink into Ethereum, or did it convert Chainlink on BNB to Chainlink on ETH? The only thing I could think of is that if it was the latter, it's because exchanges or wallets, in terms of that liquidity, they don't provide. Yeah, so that's kind of interesting, going from Chainlink to ETH, because I don't know why they would swap. Basically, I think they would be in some form or fashion that, my opinion would be, I'm guessing on this, is that Tangem does not offer Chainlink, or you did not have it installed as a app on that cold storage device. And then it just kind of, instead of just losing your crypto out into the great unknown, it kind of just said, hey, you sent a lot of money, so we're going to convert it to something universal such as Ethereum. That's the only thing I can come up with. I'm sure a quick Google search will help with that. I've never had that issue. The closest I've got to that is when you do send from a different chain on BNB, and then somehow it just gives you, it figures it out. And so if you send like Ethereum or USDC, USDT, it'll just kind of figure it out, and it'll end up in your Coinbase or wherever you're trying to go with it. So I'll have to look into that one. That's a good kind of example for sure. Any other questions out there? Appreciate you guys tuning in. We have 18 people live. These more kind of presentation, kind of discussion live streams. Not really, we don't talk about, the hot cryptos out there. It's more so just educational. So there's a lot less traction in terms of the audiences that do come from these. So I appreciate you guys all tuning in. And if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do so down below. DW, I did not say hello to you as well. Welcome. Any other thoughts, questions, concerns before we sign off? Nope. Okay. Well, I'll leave you with this. Some closing comments. Biggest thing, takeaway from this is, and it's not fun. Sorry about that little microphone issue, but I'll leave you guys with this kind of signing off. Some closing comments. If you guys are going to use an exchange, make sure it's reputable. Make sure you guys keep all of your seed phrases, passwords, anything kind of sensitive in terms of that secure. But the goal is to find something safe with the lowest fees possible, and that essentially allows you to have access to the kind of the most crypto that you can, right? Worst thing ever is when something's pumping in the exchange that, some people are very stubborn. They get and they fall in love with their exchange. They don't diversify, and they try to make a move on a crypto that's having a day, and they're not able to trade that crypto because the exchange doesn't offer it. So that's something you want to keep in mind as well. Another closing point, cold storage wallets. It's a must. Okay. I actually had an issue too. I'll talk a little bit about that. One thing to keep in mind is that every 4 or 5 years, you probably should replace them. The batteries do go bad in them. If you do have trouble charging, it can become a extreme kind of, I guess you'd say, panic mode. I had that same issue, but if it doesn't charge, you just got to leave it on the charger and then quickly get a new one, and then kind of transfer everything. It's really easy to do. But yeah, it's something simple as $100 for, a reputable cold storage device. And if you have to pay $100 every 5 years to make sure that all of your high value crypto is safe and secure, that's a price that is, in my opinion, priceless. So with that, I'll leave you. And like I talked about a little earlier, if you guys want to get started trading with the exchanges I talked about, there will be a link down below. Make sure it's right for you and where you're located. Always know the terms and conditions and all the regulations that lie within. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys all enjoyed this, found some value from this content, and we'll see you guys all in the next video. Cheers.